The former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, is expected to appear before the KwaZulu-Natal High Court on the 6th of May 2020 for his corruption trial, or he could face jail time. This comes after the state, on Tuesday the 4th of February 2020, requested Judge Leon Pillay to issue an arrest warrant for Zuma after his lawyers applied for him to be absent from court proceedings in Pietermaritzburg due to ill health. The former statesman faces 16 charges of fraud, corruption, racketeering, and money laundering related to the controversial multi-billion-rand arms deal concluded in the late 1990s. Zuma faces 12 charges of fraud, 1 of racketeering, 2 of corruption, and 1 of money laundering, in connection with 783 questionable payments, totaling more than 1.2 million rand, he allegedly received from his former financial advisor and convicted fraudster, Schabby Shaik. Zuma is charged along with French arms company, Thales, which allegedly bribed him. Here is a timeline of events related to the case, running from 2003 to 2020, a total of 17 years, in the making of the corruption trial of Jacob Zuma. August 2003. The then National Prosecuting Authority head, Bulelani Ngaka, said there was a prima facie case of corruption against Zuma, but he wasn't charged alongside Shaik at the time. June 2005. The Durban High Court finds Shaik guilty on 2 counts of corruption and 1 count of fraud. He was sentenced to more than 15 years in jail, but he was later released on medical parole in March 2009, after serving just 2 years and 4 months of his sentence. In the same year, the then-President Thabo Mbeki announced in Parliament that Zuma was dismissed from his duties as the country's then-Deputy President, after Shaik was found guilty of soliciting bribes on behalf of Zuma from Thales. Also in the same year, the then elite Scorpions, now Hawks, in August 2005, raided properties belonging to Zuma and his former lawyer, Michael Huweley, as part of their corruption investigation. The Scorpions were disbanded in October 2008, after Parliament adopted the NPA Amendment Act and the South African Police Service Amendment Act, which paved the way for the establishment of the Hawks. September 2006. After the NPA officially charged Zuma with corruption, following Shaik's trial, the late KwaZulu-Natal Judge-President, Judge Herbert Mziman, struck off the court roll Zuma's corruption case. The judge berated the NPA, saying the prosecution had failed to follow the correct procedure in bringing the case to court. November 2006. The Supreme Court of Appeal rejects Shaik's bid to appeal his conviction and 15-year sentence. December 2007. The Scorpions served Zuma with an indictment to stand trial on various counts of racketeering, money laundering, corruption, and fraud related to the arms deal. This came days after Zuma's successful defeat of Mbeki at the African National Congress 52nd National Elective Conference in Polokwane, Limpopo. Zuma was tipped to be South Africa's next president in 2009. September 2008. Pietermaritzburg High Court Judge Chris Nicholson rules in Zuma's favor, saying he was entitled to make representations before the NPA prior to its decision to recharge him over the corruption charges. Nicholson also said there was the possibility of political meddling in Zuma's prosecution. However, on the 23rd of September 2008, Mbeki applied to the Constitutional Court for leave to appeal the Nicholson ruling. Mbeki said it was improper for the court to make such far-reaching, vexatious, scandalous, and prejudicial findings concerning him, which led to the RNC eventually recalling him from office after 9.5 years as the country's president. January 2009. The Supreme Court of Appeal subsequently overturned Nicholson's ruling, saying it wasn't necessary for Zuma to make representations before he was recharged with corruption. April 2009. Former acting head of the NPA, Mokotedi Mphishi, withdrew all corruption charges against Zuma after he made representations to the prosecuting authority. These representations cantered on the so-called spy tapes, which allegedly showed a political conspiracy against Zuma. The secret phone recordings were that of the then Scorpions boss, Leonard McCarthy, and former MP head, Bulelani Nkaka, discussing the timing of prosecuting Zuma, in an effort to boost Mbeki's chances of re-election as RNC president, at the December 2007 elective conference. May 2009. Zuma is sworn in as South Africa's president at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. April 2016. The North Gauteng High Court rules that the decision to drop all the corruption charges against Zuma was irrational and should be set aside. The application was brought by the Democratic Alliance, which had launched a protracted legal battle to get access to the spy tapes. October 2017. The Supreme Court of Appeal upheld the High Court ruling in April 2016 that the original decision to charge Zuma in 2009 should stand. Following the ruling, Zuma's lawyers were given an opportunity to make representations for the withdrawal of criminal prosecution to former NP boss, Shaun Abrahams. The 14th of February 2018. Zuma is forced to resign as president by the RNC's National Executive Committee, following Cyril Ramaphosa's election as party president in December 2017. March 2018. Zuma's legal team's arguments over the long delays to bring him to trial, allegations of a political conspiracy, and pre-trial irregularities over the corruption trial, were rejected by Abrahams on the 16th of March 2018, effectively reinstating the charges against him. Abrahams stated that a trial court would be the most appropriate forum for these issues to be ventilated and to be decided upon. April 2018. Zuma appears in the Durban High Court for a preliminary hearing, but Judge Thembisishe adjourned the case until the 8th of June 2018, after Zuma launched his review application on the 15th of May. June 2018. Zuma appeared briefly in the Durban High Court on the corruption charges. However, the case was postponed again, after the state and Zuma's lawyers asked to study arms company Thile's representations to withdraw the case. July 2018. Zuma appeared before the Pietermaritzburg High Court for the third time, but the case was postponed once again, due to the stay of prosecution application. In the same month, Zuma terminated the services of his longtime attorney and confidant, Michael Hawley. December 2018. The North Gauteng High Court rules that the state's decision to pay for Zuma's legal fees was unlawful and illegal. Deputy Judge President Aubrey Ledwaba ruled that Zuma should pay back all the legal fees spent on him since his criminal trial began in 2005. The fees were estimated at 15.3 million rand. May 2019. Zuma applies for a permanent stay of prosecution. The prosecution dismissed as unfounded Zuma's allegations that he was victim of a witch hunt. November 2019. The KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg dismissed Zuma's appeal for a bid for a permanent stay of prosecution with costs. Judges Jerome Nguni, Esther Steen, and Dubié Poyodolwati found that there were no compelling reasons why the former president should be granted leave to appeal. February 2020, the Pietermaritzburg High Court, on Tuesday the 4th of February 2020, agreed to a request from the state to issue an arrest warrant for Zuma after he skipped court proceedings due to ill health. But the court stayed the warrant until his corruption trial resumes on the 6th of May 2020. Please check in the description box below for the links to the sources of this report. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe.